Good evening, you're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. On the show this Tuesday night, Narendra Modi invokes the caste card as he lashes out at Priyanka Gandhi, accuses her of insulting lower castes, while the Congress hits back saying she was talking about low-level politics. Is it all-out war between Modi and the Gandhis? And in a bitter election as one politician after another, including Narendra Modi, defy the Election Commission, does the EC need to have more powers? But first, in the final stretch of the general election, Narendra Modi invoked the caste card today, accusing Priyanka Gandhi of insulting him because he comes from a backward caste. Mr. Modi's attack came a day after Priyanka had accused him of neat rajniti in Amethi. The Congress today said Mr. Modi was deliberately misinterpreting facts and that Priyanka was talking about low-level politics and not caste.
मैं इस बात का तो इनकार नहीं कर सकता हूं कि मैं नीची जाति में पैदा हुआ हूं, लेकिन मेरे भाई बताइए, क्या नीची जाति में पैदा होना ये गुनाह है क्या?
She's only said that this is low-level politics. What else has he said? He knows what he is saying. He knows that he is misinterpreting, and he is doing it purposely.
So is it all-out war between Modi and the Gandhis? Joining us tonight, first we have Shashi Tharoor from the Congress party. Also joining us, Nirmala Sitharaman, national spokesperson of the BJP. Kumar Ketkar and Nalini Singh are commentators tonight. I'll ask Nirmala Sitharaman first. That Ms. Sitharaman, does it seem to be a little bit of a stretch by Mr. Modi to have interpreted it in the way that he did? It can very well mean low-level politics. That's what the Congress says. Many today are saying that Mr. Modi pulled out the caste card deliberately. And that's why he spun it in his particular way.
It's interesting how when it comes to Mr. Modi, everything is deliberate, extended, tenuous and so on. Let's not forget the kind of barbs which leave the candidate aside who doesn't seem to respond from Amethi. You have the sister who's gone there to campaign, seem to be throwing allegations and also picking up issues which have never been an issue. If only you had noticed the Doordarshan interview, was there a reference at all that he's acknowledged or referred to her as a daughter? She picked it up. So, when it comes to Mr. Modi, the yardsticks, the measures, the inferences are all different and conveniently different for the Congress. This is one of the examples then.
But why are the yardsticks different? Because when you look at what she actually said,
I
mean, the question that the Congress raises is that was this a reference, really a reference to caste? Mr. Modi has not talked about his caste. He's not really talked about caste politics throughout this campaign. And now, on the eve of the last two phases, and particularly where caste is an issue in a place like Amethi, he has brought it up, and therefore people will question that.
Nidhi, I'm asking. In fact, in reference to the question that you've asked me, I'm trying to point out that when it comes to Mr. Modi, everything seems to be differently measured. And I've cited an instance where even when he had not said that she is her daughter, a quarrel was picked up, a vitriolic response was given. At that time, questions were not raised saying, where did you get this from? He did not even say it. So, in fact, what I'm asking you is, why is it that when Mr. Modi speaks, inferences, appeals, everything is differently brought in for a discussion and the BJP is drawn to give an explanation? No, what he said is absolutely clear. There need not be a digression saying why is he playing the caste card. In fact, the way in which the Congress has handled the entire campaign is questionable and it is for them to answer it. Whilst the candidate is not even responding on these matters, you have a sister who's gone there to campaign, seems to be throwing barbs and also giving personalized attack, but conveniently talking about emotional attacks on her family.
All right, so Shashi Tharoor, Nirmala Sitharaman says that you all have different yardsticks for Narendra Modi. And therefore, how do you respond to that criticism and the possibility that maybe Priyanka Gandhi's comments could have been interpreted in any way? What you're saying, low-level politics or a barb directed at Mr. Modi's caste or anyone's caste?
Well, frankly, I think Nirmala's point is completely irrelevant. No one is sitting here interpreting Mr. Modi. Mr. Modi is deliberately misinterpreting Priyanka Gandhi. I think that's the issue here. He very clearly referred to low-level politics. At no stage did she speak about caste. Indeed, the Congress party would very rarely use a word like niche in talking about caste. We would speak of pichde or its equivalent in Indian languages. The fact is that there is simply no association with caste in her comment. She was talking about the abysmally low level of politics that the BJP has been practicing, as exemplified by Mr. Modi's speech. Now, he has deliberately chosen to take a comment like this, which is very clear in its intent, that is actually expressing disdain for the low quality of his barbs, and he has chosen instead to convert that into a naked appeal for caste votes. The Congress says, please cast your vote, and Mr. Modi says to OBCs, please vote your caste. That's what this is all about. And I think for Nirmala to try and dignify that by saying we are misinterpreting Mr. Modi, no one is interpreting Mr. Modi. His raising caste is in black and white or his own tweets. We've all read them.
And therefore, do you believe that he's done that deliberately before the last two phases of polling?
Nidhi, much before Mr. Tharoor would answer that.
This is sheer opportunism. This is sheer opportunism. It is taking an issue that has nothing to do with caste and using it to inject caste and say, look at me, I'm a poor low caste person and people are saying insulting things to me. Now you must vote for me in defense of caste pride. That is the subtext of the message. I must say this is the kind of appeal that frankly we would not expect of a prime ministerial aspirant, so-called, in a democracy like ours.
Nirmala Sitharaman, yes.
Yes, that is where I would want to come in. It is a deliberate introduction of the word niche there by the Congress, which actually at the face value can mean one thing, and in the political discourse of India in the last several decades, the word niche has never been used. It is here that the Congress party has deliberately brought in that expression. You can take it this way or you can take it that way, and then the moment somebody interprets it, you start telling us that we play the caste card. It was a deliberate ploy of the Congress party to introduce that word and then say, oh my God, we just said about the nature of the politics that he's talking, whereas it was a ploy to bring in an insulting remark against our PM candidate who comes from a backward class. And therefore, I charge that the Congress party's immediate knee-jerk response to the meeting in Amethi, which was a grand success, not by the candidate, mind you, it is not by the candidate, but the response comes from somebody who is not even a member of the party, conveniently. And the party immediately takes it as a party's own view. That is where the Congress party is playing cloak and dagger. And in this matter, they very clearly have said the introduction of the word.
He has avoided talking about caste and religion for most of this campaign, and suddenly caste becomes an issue and he emphasizes it in a series of tweets and his rallies today. You know, so there are many who believe that the way he has interpreted the remarks seem to be a bit of a stretch. My original question, which you didn't answer, was why didn't he invoke caste until now? Why is he doing it now in the last two phases?
That is exactly where, Nidhi, I am emphasizing the fact that the Congress party has deliberately used the word niche and insulted him, wherein when his remarks came, they are now twisting it conveniently. So, oh my God, we didn't talk about the caste, we are talking only about the kind of politics that he is playing, which is a shame considering the kind of language and the personalized attacks are coming from the Congress party and nobody else.
So let me take
and when we choose to respond, you give us this back.
No, Shashi
this is
Tharoor,
completely going as per a pattern.
Would you say there could have been a better choice of words than used by Priyanka? I know that's a difficult question, but maybe a different choice of vocabulary would have been more appropriate?
Not at all. Not at all, because as Nirmala herself said, that's the contradiction in her own remarks. She says that this word niche has not been used in the context of caste for decades in Indian politics, and she's right.
And now
so why should anybody using the word niche So using the word niche in the context of the simple meaning low is obvious because no one uses niche in relation to caste. So clearly there was no connection to caste. You see, you're inventing a connection which has not been used by either the Congress party or indeed, as you said, by any party in many, many years in Indian politics, and you're applying it to suit your own political opportunism. I find it, of course, quite amusing to have two South Indians sitting here discussing the intricacies of Hindi usage on English television, but the fact still is that Nietzsche in this context was very clearly about Nietzsche Rajniti. She said so. Said low-level politics. What other word would you like to use for low? This is a very low standard of politics. We've seen it. I've seen it, frankly, in my own constituency from the BJP. I'm seeing it now in Amethi. It's a question of very, very poor, debased kind of use of political mudslinging. And sadly, that's what happened. And she quite correctly used the word Nietzsche in that context.
Okay,
but there was no intention of using it in relation to caste.
Nidhi,
yes,
actually speaking, in Amethi, the speech was very plain and direct. There was nothing except for a contrived sense of insult. You've insulted my father kind of a thing which came up when he only narrated what had happened in Sitharaman's Kesari's case and in the case of Anjaya. They were both incidences which happened, and to now contrive an insult from it, and when he said it was a fact that I've stated, and then to deliberately bring in a word which has never been used in Indian politics for last several times, and then you now say, oh no, we've said it in the sense of low. It is an intentional planting of the word, so that the moment you respond, you can play it up like this. It is with malified intention.
Okay. Well, obviously, you both have a very different view on how to look at this. Let me get Nalini Singh and Kumar Ketkar into this. First, on this issue of invoking the caste card, Nalini Singh, what do you make of it? Deliberate misinterpretation by Mr. Modi, or was it open to misinterpretation because of the word used?
I would say that Priyanka Gandhi knows that tomorrow and on the 12th, the constituencies that go to the polls in UP and Bihar are ones where the caste identity is most deeply entrenched. Now, anything that anybody says is going to be is up for misinterpreting or interpreting the way they want. Now, I think she could have been more careful. Now, when we come to this, then word play and hair splitting is par for the course in this. Now, if you've got entrenched ethnic caste identities, then I think a person, person who is in the forefront of the political fray just now from the BJP side, Narendra Modi, is going to pick it up. I also think that here the BJP has recognized that caste identity might be a bigger, shall I say, lure to the voter than development. And so it's quite possible that this was talked about because of that. So I would say that in both cases, this hair splitting and this word play is fine, politicians can play it. But I think that there is, on both sides, if there had been a bit of caution, anything they say just now, if they have a cup of tea, it's going to be chai pe charcha.
So you're saying she should have been more careful. Yeah. Kumar Ketkar, your thoughts on that? Who misinterpreted whom?
Well, actually, I must say that Narendra Modi is the cleverest politician BJP ever got. And I am not saying cleverest in terms of admiration. What I am saying is he is fast and quick to turn every phrase in his favor and to condemn the others. This is not the first time he has done. He has done it often, like when he says that all Bangladeshis will be thrown out without knowing how do you identify the Bangladeshi. Essentially, he is attacking the minorities, and that means Muslims. So every time he uses a word, there is a meaning attached to it, and in such a way that you cannot actually attribute to him that you meant this, you said this. So every time he is converting. When he said in place of mandir there should be shauchalaya, he immediately got it converted into that particular campaign to woo the kind of liberal constituency. Every time he does this, and this time also he has used this typical term which is Nietzsche की जिस तरह की शैली, Nietzsche तरह की शैली जो की गई है, and that is what Modi converted into saying that Nietzsche Jat. You must be knowing that Modi is not merely fighting Priyanka Gandhi or Gandhi family or Congress. Modi very well knows that in the last 33 constituencies in the last phase, essential battle for him is with Mayawati. And to get the votes of Mayawati supporters into his camp, it is necessary to invoke caste, because Mayawati supporters and Samajwadi supporters are essentially determining the last 33 constituencies. That he knows. And so he has cleverly brought the caste in question. You said why he did not bring caste in question earlier? Because this time it is directly factored into these constituencies, and that's why he has brought this. That's why he has deliberately converted the term in his favor. in a very clever way, but dangerous way.
Okay, let me get to the question that we're asking though on this all-out war between the Sangh Parivar on one hand and the Gandhi Parivar on the other. Shashi Tharoor, there seems to be a sense after Mr. Modi's rally in Amethi yesterday that he has left the Gandhi bastion just a little bit nervous with the kind of response that he got and the fact that he even went there, because many people were saying before this that no, there's an unwritten code, you know, senior leaders don't go into the constituencies of other senior leaders, the SP hasn't even fielded a candidate in Amethi against Rahul Gandhi and so on. The fact that he even went there, has that just touched a nerve somewhere?
Look, frankly, as a long-time student of Indian politics, I don't particularly buy this unwritten code business. I remember in '84, the Rajiv Gandhi campaign in Gwalior, and we defeated Atal Bihari Vajpayee there. And I think we've done the same to a couple of other leaders in other constituencies when it's necessary, when it was an effective use of our time. So if Mr. Modi thinks that he wants to make a splash, I certainly wouldn't sit here second-guessing his right to do that. But at the same time, very clearly, the BJP feels that they need to target the Congress party in every way that they can, and attacking the family that is most associated with the party is what Mr. Modi has chosen to do. I would agree with Mr. Ketkar that his targets were also beyond the specific constituency of Amethi. This whole argument that it was particularly targeting Amethi is, I think, not correct. I think it was, as Mr. Ketkar said, very clever politics. He chose a venue that was bound to get him national TV attention, and his speech was targeting audiences, first of all, elsewhere in UP, the 33 constituencies. In fact, in Amethi, there is no Samajwadi candidate. The party most identified with the OBCs, so he was making that OBC appeal beyond the constituency of Amethi. And then, of course, his remarks to Mr. Anjaya were probably aimed at
the very fact that he went there and made it a prestige issue, because he said, you know, this is about my prestige. He said that yesterday. So the very fact that he's doing that, in a sense, doesn't that make you think that, okay, is the wind blowing in a different direction this time? You know, this is the first time perhaps in Amethi people might be second guessing what may happen.
Well, if Mr. Modi wants to let his prestige ride on the result in Amethi, then his prestige is going to come for a bit of a blow, because we are quite confident that the sitting MP in Amethi will be comfortably re-elected. But that's not the point. I do think that, as has been said, this was very clever opportunism. Go to Amethi, that gets you national media attention, and then you use a larger appeal. He's hitting Simandra by referring to Mr. Anjaya. He's hitting Telugu pride. He's hitting caste issues by inventing this non-issue of the word niche. All of this is very much clever political campaigning, and we have to accept that he's a, shall we say, very clever opportunistic campaigner. That doesn't mean that the substance of his message is in any way dignified by the choice of venue from which it's delivered.
On the other hand, Nirmala Sitharaman, you would say it's dangerous for the Congress to dismiss that choice of venue.
Well, no constituency is contested in a lighter vein, and particularly in Amethi, given the performance of the sitting MP, we had reasons to think that we go do a good campaign, give it all the energy, and highlight the fact that the constituency could have been far better if only there was a lot more commitment to the place, and therefore want to give the message that we have not gone there with just a, oh yes, we are also fighting there. It is an honest, hard-hitting fight, and therefore the message was given. I don't see a, you know, in fact, if we hadn't given that kind of an emphasis to Amethi, they would say, oh, they're just fielding somebody, but there's not really much of an energy behind the campaign. No, we are taking every campaign seriously, and that's the message there.
Okay, Nalini Singh wants to weigh in on that.
Yeah, I was just saying that you're talking about this war between the Gandhi Parivar and the Sangh Parivar. You know, it's very interesting, because you have seen that actually there was no war. There was this unwritten code. I do not agree with Shashi Tharoor. The Sangh Parivar did not openly ever attack the Nehru Gandhi Parivar. It is only recently, you know, if you go back, you'll see 1963 Nehru invited them to Republic Day and whatever. All that was. Now what's happened is it's a recent phenomena, and I trace it to Malegaon blasts, Hyderabad blasts, and Samjhauta Express, where Hindu terror has been named, and the Sangh Parivar somehow has come into the ambit of the the attacks which were then very vociferously taken up by Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, Digvijay Singh and the Home Minister. Now, at that, it's a question of survival of the RSS, because they also talked about banning the RSS at some stage in 2012 or 13. So, therefore, after that, Narendra Modi is obviously part of the Sangh Parivar thinking, and also part of how they are organizing this campaign, all of them together. So, he then started off, actually it has been started, as far as I can see, by this these episodes, and Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi uncharacteristically went for this and talked about this, and then there's been a retaliation. So you see that
campaign, Kumar Ketkar, was that actually until now we didn't see the BJP and certainly Mr. Modi personally going after Priyanka Gandhi, and that changed yesterday. Why?
No, I think the attack has always been on the family rather than the party, because many people in the BJP believe that privately many congressmen might even support them or might split the party and join them. Even that kind of a subtle campaign is on. So their basic attack is on the Gandhi family. In fact, by attacking Gandhi family, they recognize that the family matters. Otherwise, if the family is so important, and if mother and son are ruling the country, why are you attacking? You attack the party, you attack the prime minister, which they always do. But every time they isolate the party and the prime minister from the family and concentrate their attack on the family, this is not attack only on the family, this is a legacy that they are attacking, and that legacy belongs to Pandit Nehru, unfortunately for them, who carried the legacy not after independence, but before independence also. It was Pandit Nehru's thoughts, Pandit Nehru's philosophy, Pandit Nehru's style of politics actually dominated the country, and Pandit Nehru actually kind of instilled what we consider today democratic values and idealist values. You may differ with him on policies, but essential content of the democracy has been instilled in this country by Pandit Nehru. They don't want to agree with that. So attack on Sonia, Priyanka and Rahul is not only attack on the family, the so-called dynasty, but attack on the whole legacy, whole tradition, beginning from something like 1930s.
But Mr. Ketkar, isn't it also legitimate for people to attack a legacy? They may not agree
but
with
I am
that
not saying it is not legitimate.
No, just for a second.
But Nidhi, I am not saying it is not legitimate. You are perfectly right to attack Nehru's policies. You are perfectly right in attacking Nehru's policies. You are perfectly right. But the point I am trying to drive at is that their attack is on the family, is not on the family. It is essentially on the legacy of Nehruvian legacy.
But I must come in here because, the Kamala Nehru, Pandit Nehru's wife, her guru was very close to the RSS chief Golwalkar, and so these links were established at that level. So when Panditji invited in 1963, it had actually come from a history, and I think we in our enthusiasm to paint people black and white, will forget all this. We should not, because nobody attacked each other. But when it comes to your survival, then people are going for each other very viciously.
To weigh in on that. Well, when you're attacking the family, you're attacking a legacy, says Kumar Ketkar. Is it a gamble to attack Priyanka Gandhi and the family in the Gandhi bastion?
Nidhi, this is really building on an argument which I don't think is relevant here. Attacking a family, attacking a legacy, what's all this? Simply put, Congress party is run by a family, a dynastic rule. And it is very clear, if there is a Nehruvian legacy, that is available for the rest of the country also. It is not the prerogative of the Congress to, take away the Nehruvian legacy only for themselves. Well, I don't think this argument of legacy business is relevant here. It is the dynastic politics of the Congress party, and therefore it is the dynasty which has kept those two pocket boroughs for themselves in Raebareli and Amethi. And when Mr. Modi went to Amethi, would he not talk about it, considering the backwardness of Amethi? And here unnecessarily bringing in a dimension of legacy. I mean, come on, it is, I would think, absolutely irrelevant, because Nehruvian, you see, it's trying to suggest, is Mr. Ketkar, a senior journalist, trying to suggest that the Nehruvian legacy is confined to Amethi and Raebareli? Not so. So let us not try to make contrived arguments to say that the BJP is getting it all wrong. The BJP was spot on. It was the pocket borough. He was there for campaigning at the pocket borough, and particularly of that family, which has held it for so many decades. Backwardness prevails there. So what more? You will certainly talk about it.
But isn't this also then, Shashi Tharoor, a battle of perceptions for the family in particular? Isn't this election actually critical for the family? Something that Mr. Modi said in an interview to Times of India today is something a lot of people are privately talking about as well. If you get less than 100 seats, you could actually find people in your own party questioning whether dynasty has worked, whether that leadership works. I know that again is something that you won't admit on record, but I will ask you.
No, a number of issues here. First, let me disagree strongly with Nirmala Sitharaman on the issue of the legacy, because indeed, I think Mr. Ketkar is right. There has been a not very thinly veiled attack on the Nehruvian legacy by Mr. Modi for some time now, an attempt to denigrate Mr. Nehru's contribution to India and indeed to appropriate for himself the mantle of Sardar Patel. That didn't go very far. He got a very effective riposte from the rest of the nation. But he's now come back again, reminding people that he doesn't value Nehru's contribution and the family's contribution to India's growth and development. So I think for Nirmala to back away from that argument actually lets down her own prime ministerial aspirant. So let us say that is very much part of his message. And those of us with a sense of India's history, India's democracy, India's development will know how unhistorical and uninformed such an argument is, even where you may have legitimate grounds for disagreeing with certain aspects of Nehruji's policies or the family's policy preferences.
What about the test
now,
for the family?
On the first point by Nirmala.
Yeah.
I beg your pardon? What about them?
How this election is a test, in a sense, for the family, for the Gandhis.
Yeah, now, so look, this election, like every election, is a test for our party. We have won elections before, we have lost elections before, and I think that the nation knows that we have always conducted ourselves with dignity and with strength in either outcome. Where we have won, we have ruled consensually. Where we have lost, we have contributed constructively and regrouped our strength and won back the confidence of the voters. So I don't believe there is any such thing. It may be wishing for Mr. Modi's sort of idea of wishing for an outcome that he desires. But as far as we are concerned, whatever the outcome of this election, we expect to win. But if it so happens that the voters in their wisdom don't give us victory, we will indeed recover and come back and win their confidence as we have always done.
All right, last quick words from everyone. Nirmala Sitharaman first.
Well, I think I'm very clear on one thing. In spite of all the attempts by Mr. Ketkar and Mr. Tharoor, this debate is not about Nehru at all. And even if they want to have a complete, copyright for Mr. Nehru in the Congress party, that is a debatable issue subsequently. But today it is a question of what has the family done in Amethi, and has Amethi got its due? And on that question, our argument is they have failed the people of Amethi, and yesterday's discussion or the speech delivered at Amethi was focusing on that. And you saw the knee-jerk reaction of the sister and not so much the party, but the party remained silent. And when it comes to the question of having to aggravate the tone and tenor of the campaign, the party wants to benefit from it. They have no answers as to why Amethi remains backward. And therefore, now to bring in Nehru, freedom movement, and also get in a greater aura about the whole thing is completely out of context.
Okay, you're
and
saying
I don't
it
think
completely
that's the
digresses from
now.
the issue. Okay, I'm going to ask Shashi Tharoor and Nirmala Sitharaman to patiently wait for a moment. I'm going to take a break. When I come back in just a minute from now, we're going to talk about the other important aspect of this election campaign. It's been very nasty. It's been very bitter. The Election Commission has tried to take action against those who violated the code, but finds itself at the receiving end of attacks instead. We'll talk about that after the break.